Hello and thank you for being with us once again on the road to Beijing. The torch made its way through the Tibetan roadways of Lhasa last weekend amid exceptionally tight security. It then went on through the Qinghai province before heading north to Datong in Shaanxi province. This week we focus on the logistics. As with all competitions, nothing is simply left to chance. One may make the case that a marathon runner can travel rather lightly, but a kayaker does indeed require a bit more luggage, and consider the baggage problem of the equestrian team. This year's trial will take place in Hong Kong, with horses flown in advance, flying first class, no doubt. Tricky customers to bring aboard. Loading begins in Amsterdam at the end of July. There will then be a crucial adaptation period to ensure each horse is at home in the stifling Chinese heat before competitions start in earnest. This report on the French equestrian team's preparations from Vittel in the Vosges region of France.
Le Grand National in the town of Vittel is one of the last run-outs for the French equestrian team. A chance to cast an eye on riders and horses and for some advice on how to get through. If you take a line on the right, it comes out that way, it gives you more time to react perhaps, but it's those who react quickest who are going to get through best. Nicolas TOUZAINT, here pacing out the course, was part of the gold medal winning team of 2004. He's already up and focused. The target for him is Hong Kong, where the Olympic riding events are taking place. There's some avuncular advice on hand. The French team trainer is Thierry TOUZAINT, Nicolas' uncle. In Hong Kong, the climate is set to be the most testing ever for an Olympic equestrian course. The most important things are experience, pacing the horse and how you control the ride. As I see it, these things are absolutely key. This is about horse and rider being in perfect harmony and leading by example two men, Jean and TOUZAINT himself. In China, the aim of the French is to add an individual gold to the team medal. Nothing then will be left to chance in terms of planning, especially when you consider the weather will make it all the harder. It's going to be very hot and stifling for riders and horses. It's a fairly unique situation. We don't have such conditions here, so we need to go there well before in order to get the horses ready, to get them used to it. 10 days or so is what's needed, minimum. It's the only thing you can really do in order to get the horses ready to compete, and the riders too. The well-being of the four-legged athletes is paramount, which will mean constant equine surveillance. Departure day for China will be 10 days before competition starts to give the horses time to get used to the hot climate. They'll have to work in 95% humidity and get over jet lag. We learnt a lot from Atlanta. After a week, 95% of us were up to speed. After 2 weeks, it was 100% ready to go. At the Olympics, heat and humidity will perhaps be the biggest challenge for horse and rider. Tougher, perhaps, than the tests they'll face. Hong Kong will be hot and sticky. Let's hope that doesn't mean they come unstuck.
Hong Kong is the site of the equestrian competitions. The former British colony provides an apt venue for the games. A refreshing look at Hong Kong horse care.
From a horse's viewpoint, this is one of the most important aspects of the games. After 25 minutes competing in sweltering conditions, rest and recuperation in this special ventilation chamber. These equine chill-out zones won't cease work until the 21st of August. To stage the equestrian events, Hong Kong had to dig deep into its corporate pockets. An investment of more than $1 billion was involved. Work which began in November 2006 has turned the racecourse at Shattan into one of the most modern in the world. Air-conditioned horse boxes and climate-controlled turnout areas make it a world first. Hong Kong, of course, a former British colony which came back into Chinese control in 1997, wasn't chosen as a venue by chance. It was both a political and a sporting choice. From the Brits, Hong Kong inherited an equestrian tradition. Racing began here at the end of the 19th century, and horse racing continues to be more and more popular. Everything's underway then for the events to be held some 1,900 kilometres from Beijing. But to help with the logistics, the actual eventing course itself has been shortened. The well-being of the horses outside competition is foremost for the organisers. The conditions for the vets working here are paramount.
For the Olympics, we'll have a team of international volunteers, many of whom have got prior Olympic experience, and they'll be flying in just for the Olympics. A clinic will be able to cater for the vast majority of clinical needs for horses competing in the Olympics.
The issue of doping hasn't been overlooked, whether we're talking horses or riders. In this lab, tests will be carried out. Any illegal substance, no matter how small it is or whatever it is, it will be detected.
We do pretty much the same for the Olympics, in the sense that in horse racing, the doping control is very tight. The rules of racing actually define the prohibited substance as anything that can affect the body system of a horse. So that means our normal coverage for horse racing sample is very, very comprehensive.
In August last year, a big run-through took place on the site. Then the up-to-date facilities received rave reviews. The prevailing climate, well, less so. The latter was one reason why the Swiss team decided to pull out completely of the Olympic Games. As for the Germans, though, a different story. As usual, they came first.
Our guest this week is Arnaud Boiteau, Olympic champion at the last Olympics, winning team gold in Athens. So will you be accompanying your horse on July 27th from Amsterdam?
I don't think so. Yes, we'll be travelling separately, but we don't leave the horse alone. A vet and a groom will be on board. A lad will be, the lad groom lives with the animal all the time, and it's not very disturbing for horses.
What's on the agenda? Once you and your horse arrive in Hong Kong in the stifling weather in the south of China.
It's true, compared with a traditional competition, we'll be spending 10 days. We'll be arriving 10 days ahead of the competition in order to get acclimatized. So we'll be arriving 10 days before. We won't be inactive. We will be continuing to prepare ourselves, the horses, physically. We will continue to train the horses physically as well, to train them technically, to rehearse the figures for the dressage, probably do some horse jumping, some jumping as well. And these 10 days will be very actively used for preparation.
We know that athletes are quite stressed out. The run-up to this Olympic Games taking place every 4 years. Do animals really feel that this is a very special event?
Yes, there's no doubt the animal feels that it's something special. Whether he's aware of the fact that it's the Olympic Games, I'm not sure. But a trip to such a long trip, acclimatization, the horses are very sensitive to noise, images, the atmosphere, even more than us. They know that we're not in a traditional competition, and it's up to us to manage this parameter.
We also need to face up to the health of those animals. One of your colleagues that got a gold medal in Athens is not going to be able to make it because the horse is not ready. Now you're quite nervous with the idea that before the games your horse might get injured because you're not going to be able to participate in those games. There is no safety net.
Yes, there's no backup, except if you're lucky, like Nicolas TOUZAINT, to have 2 or 3 horses capable of competing and ready to compete. But almost all foreign participants don't have that luck, so we're very worried.
Thank you very much, Arnaud Boiteau, and I wish you the very best of luck in August. And that's the end of our show. Thank you for staying with us. We'll be back next week for the next leg of On the Road to Beijing on France 24.